right at 5, I think.
Yes.
So we've got a couple apparatuses happening here. So it is Anita Heidema and
Dario Tomaselli.
I guess I'm not wearing my apron.
I know.
You got your apron on.
Yeah, it's Mother's
I
Day.
feel kind of naked here.
Really? Wow.
Anyway, for today's class for Mother's Day, we're going to be doing Osso Buco.
Not
Right?
quite.
No?
Not quite.
Well, we're making it very similar. Unfortunately, similar to our fridge feast series, we always are looking for substitutes, unfortunately, in cooking these days. So it's good to go and download the recipe if you haven't already, or if you want to do it afterwards. Instagram, it's in the LinkedIn profile. In Facebook, it's showing there as well, and we're going to be putting it in the link when we're finished up here. But basically, it is Passion's Cooking / Sunday dinner, and it has all the ingredients there. You will notice that there are some substitutes that are going to be offered and that we're going to be talking about. But we're just going to go over the recipe quickly here with the Osso Buco, and it's Milanese because you're from Milan, and
Yes.
it's just a classical dish
It's
for you.
it's a Sunday classical dinner. Not every Sunday, but whenever is the Sunday is quite special.
So I'll be fielding questions later. I'm just going to go through this quickly before we start and make sure that everyone gets on. Go on over and download the recipe. If you don't, this is what we're working on. It's Osso Buco.
Salve! Ecco qua.
You want to wave at everybody already now.
Yes.
So unfortunately, we couldn't find the Osso Buco, so we end up having short ribs that we're going to be using today. It does take 2 hours for it to cook.
Yeah.
So some of it we've made in advance to show you, and we're going to show you how to make it here.
Yes.
There's butter, white wine. We have red wine that we're going to be substituting for this one.
Because we're using beef short ribs, so it's the tannin of the wine really helps break down the meat and it cooks much faster.
You show here dark chicken broth.
Dark chicken broth, yes, because it's a braising liquid, so we use all the trimming and we're making a beef broth, basically. If you were to use the Osso Buco, you would use a dark veal broth or beef broth. You can use water if you want. If you don't have it, you can also use water.
Tomato puree.
Yes.
Carrot, celery, onion, and then you've got this grimalata that you're going to show how to make later. And again, if you're wanting the recipes, go and download at Pasha's Cooking / Sunday dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also going to be making risotto.
Yes.
I'm so spoiled for Mother's Day. Thank you, Dario. This is so sweet. You know, we're hoping that you're either cooking this at home as your mom, or if your husband or your children are cooking for you, this is how we imagine this being done. So hopefully, and we've seen a lot of people have downloaded the recipe already, and hopefully you've got all the ingredients, and we'll be making it. So first one is
Carnaroli risotto. So we want to make sure that we try to keep, if you're looking at quality of rice, the best rice is Carnaroli. Why? It's a little fattier grain, it's a little chubbier, it holds the cooking a little bit better, does not overcook. And normally time takes between 17 to 19 minutes maximum. Otherwise, people comment about arborio. Arborio is a rice that is very thin. I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you have no choice, it's quite fine.
The butter, Parmigiano, saffron,
yes,
onions, again, wine, and we've substituted for the red for this one, and a vegetable stock. So that's the recipe, just general. Again, go on over and download it if you want to have the full recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to tell them before they start?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to be over on the other side fielding any questions that anyone might have. We'd love to hear from you. If there's anything else that comes out from anybody. Hi, Julia. Thanks for the idea to make this, by the way. And hello, everyone over there. I can't see too well, but...
That's what happens when you get younger. You just don't see as well. Okay.
Okay, so I'll leave this one up to you, Dario.
Perfect. Okay. So everybody, we are everywhere. So we're going to start with your Osso Buco because it's the item is going to take a little bit longer time. Okay. So I'm going to move this beautiful hair over here. My beautiful lady. She's looking at me. No, there's nothing. Okay. So what I got here, I got some beef chuck short ribs. I'm going to start slowly. We're going to put it in the oven. Then we're going to have the final product. And then we're going to start making the risotto, which is something that it can sound intimidating, but it's not intimidating whatsoever. okay? So I'm gonna bring this one down a bit so you guys can see me a little bit better. Okay, so what I got here, I got some short ribs. I'm gonna start my fire over here. Here we go. This is when you cook with heat and fire, okay? You're gonna bring a pot here up to temperature, okay? We have some beautiful chuck short ribs. You see they got a beautiful marbleization, okay? Really nice, okay? We're gonna quickly season them with salt, both sides. Make sure that you sear on both sides. And some black pepper, okay? Really, really simple, very gentle like that. Now, a lot of people tend to say they like to kind of dust it with a little bit of flour. There's nothing wrong with that. I recommend to actually keep the meat as natural as possible. Don't add anything else. So I personally, you can add flour if you want it. I normally don't. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil and 1 small knot of butter, okay? Now with that, what I like to do is sear my short ribs, and then when my short ribs are getting seared, okay, we are going to turn them upside down and add all the vegetables. So the vegetables are carrots, cut in little dice, celery, onions, okay? And then what we have also, we have some porcini mushroom, okay? Then they've been hydrated with a little bit of water, and we're gonna keep the water for the flavor of the sauce. Okay, so here we go. Nice and hot. You wanna make sure that you hear that sound, okay? That's the caramelization, and that's the most important part. You wanna make sure the caramelization happens immediately. If the pan is too cold, okay, what's gonna happen? It's gonna boil, okay? And you're actually breaking. You wanna encase all the crust, all the protein, you wanna keep them inside, okay? So I have my oven at 400 degrees for the first 10 to 15 minutes, okay? Even half an hour, okay? And then I'm gonna break it down to 375 degrees for the remaining of time. What I say approximately this one would take maximum, okay, 1.5 to 2 hours. And just make sure you always check it. You wanna make sure that it's always covered, barely covered to the liquid with the meat. So here we go, the meat is getting a beautiful color. And you can see the caramelization. I'm using a heavy bottom pot here. We wanna make sure that that pot is heavy enough so it gives you exactly, look at that. You can see it right here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it the other side. Beautiful little color. And that's what we're looking for. Now, at this point in time, watch what I'm doing. Because I think it's important. What I'm going to do, I want to start flavoring the bottom of the pan. Last week we talked about building flavor. We talked about building foundations, okay? So I have 1 clove of garlic here, okay? Whole, I'm gonna put them on the side. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna just let it slowly cook down with the meat, okay? So we're gonna have the beautiful little flavor there. And you see what we're creating here, the little bits and pieces on the bottom. Then it's gonna build our sauce before we're gonna start it, okay? So the temperature is very hot.
Can you show the pot inside to the people?
Yes, I just.
To the other.
You can't smell it, but I can. Okay. So we want to make sure that it's nice and hot. So that's why we want to make sure that it stays on the stove, it doesn't move, and it stays nice and hot. The other thing is very important that we have hot stock.
We have Brazil on the line.
Brazil.
Hello, Brazil.
Brazil.
Renato.
Oh, Renato, how are you? Okay. Are you cooking for your wife or for your mama? Make sure. So here we go. So we're gonna make sure that we sear them properly. And I wanna make sure that I sear them everywhere on all the sides as possible. I don't wanna have too much fat on it. Why do I don't wanna want too much? Because the short ribs have enough fat. I kept some of the fat in it, but I don't wanna add any more. There we go. So we're almost there. As soon as they're done, I'm gonna remove them, and now I'm going to start building the sauce. So here we go. I'm gonna remove the short ribs. I wanna show you a bit of the color here so you can see it. Nice golden. Eh? So we're gonna take them out. Voila. So now, I still got that pan over there. I'm gonna add just a little bit more oil. Yes?
This smells so delicious.
Oh,
I can't wait to eat it.
can you?
Thank you for being so sweet for Mother's Day.
Are you guys sweet too? Okay, so now we're gonna start building the base of the sauce. So we're gonna add some of the onions. Remember, we already got the garlic there. We got the celery. And I cut them in small to medium dice, okay?
We're being asked, what are we making?
We're making short rib alla Milanese.
We're making Osso Buco and Milanese, and then we're going to be making risotto, but unfortunately, we had to substitute for short ribs.
We got beautiful short ribs here.
Smells so delicious here.
So now, we have to look at this quickly, okay? Because this is fundamental. How important is the caramelization right now? So I have the heat to maximum, and I see all the bottom bits and pieces on the pan here. That's are very important because they're gonna build the sauce, okay? So I have all my flavoring, which is the carrots, the celery, the onions, okay? I am not adding any more seasoning right now, but I'm going to build the sauce. So the first thing we're gonna add, as soon as the vegetable are properly seared, okay, is gonna be a little bit of the wine, okay? The wine is gonna cook off the tannin, okay? And then we're gonna add the tomato, we're gonna add the stock, we're just gonna bring it quickly to a boil, and we're gonna put it in the oven.
You got a lot of thumbs up here.
Good.
Is there anything else you're wanting to ask anybody? You've got us live here now, so.
Is anybody cooking?
I don't know if anyone's cooking. Are you watching or are you cooking? Have you downloaded the recipes that are in the link in bio at Pasha's Cooking / Sunday Dinner, or are you just watching to learning some tips?
Okay, so now that I had the vegetable cooking properly, so what I'm gonna add, I add porcini mushroom. So this is dry porcini mushroom, then be hydrated, okay, in warm water.
We've got a few people that said they're cooking, and Julia says she's watching. That's exciting.
Okay, so I'm gonna squeeze the water out of the porcini, okay, and I'm gonna put it in the bottom of the pan, and look, I'm going to keep the water because this is very fundamental, because that is gonna be what is gonna give me most of the flavor, okay?
Ciao, Rita. Rita Cugini.
Rita Cugini. Happy Mother's Day, Rita Cugini. To your mama. Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna let the mushroom really cook off. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna add the tomato, cook the tomato, deglaze it, and then cover them and let them braise. Here we go. Beautiful flavor right now. Right now, you know, you can actually smell all the flavors in are happening over here. So we're gonna add some of the tomato puree, okay? You're not gonna be shy. So why we add the tomato puree before the wine? Because we wanna make sure that it really cooks up, okay? Here we go.
Are you filtering the water?
We are going to filter the water before, yeah? I already filtered the water before I've done it, yes, because there is a lot of sediment in the bottom of the porcini. But watch what I'm going to do, because I'm not gonna put all the liquid. See, the sediment are in the bottom, so I'm gonna be very careful because it's very clear, and I know if I'm gonna put sand or not, okay? And the sauce is gonna have to be deglazed. Here we go.
Did you make this in the restaurant, Dario?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Did you make that as a classic at Oro?
Well, we made Osso Buco. So I had the wine here. We made Osso Buco. We made short ribs many times. Well, I think it's many ways you can actually create this dish. You can add beer if you want it. You can add white wine. You can add whiskey also.
Rita just says, I learned something. Tomato paste before the wine. Grazie.
Well, you have to put the tomato first because otherwise that acidity is going to sit there and it's going to boil. You cannot not cook the tomato first. Otherwise, you really have the overpowering flavor of over acid. When you add the wine, right now, you see what's happening here? The wine, what it's going to do first, is going to clean the bottom of your pot. Remember the bottom of your pot? Then it was all those little bits. Now they actually became a sauce.
Delicious bits and pieces in there.
That's right. So now watch what I'm going to do with it. This is important because somebody I don't know who was asked a very good question. You know, there is sediments on the porcini. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to be very careful without spilling it. And I'm going to add a small amount. And that's it. I'm going to take that one away. Because you see on the bottom here, that's where you got all the sediments. We're going to remove them. Beautiful. So now, then the wine is cooked. And the tomatoes cooked. And the porcini have been in. Now I'm going to put the short ribs back in. Why am I putting it right in before I'm going to put the liquid? Because I want to make sure that the meat is going to absorb all that flavor of the base of the sauce. I want it to absorb all the wine, all the juices, all the tomato, and I want it to steam properly before I'm going to add the stock. So here we go. We're going to let them cook nicely, and you can see right now we really build the beautiful sauce right there. Okay? Okay, do you guys have any question?
I don't see any questions coming through here unless I'm missing something. Everyone's just saying perfect. They got the thumb perfect.
Okay, so now when it's reduced, what I'm going to add, I'm going to add my dark beef stock.
I think because you're a culinary instructor as well, you just are answering all the questions that they need.
Do I?
Yes.
That's not good. Okay, so here's the part. So I'm gonna, did you see how much I put liquid? I barely cover the top of the meat. I don't want to drown them, okay? The problem a lot of people do, they boil the meat, they don't braise it. Braising means shallow. So it means just enough amount of liquid to cover the meat. If you put too much of it, it takes a long time to reduce, and the meat can be watered down. And also, it will actually become a little tougher.
Hi, Wendy. Nice to see you on here. I haven't seen Wendy since I was a teenager, I think. Wow. So it's nice to see you, Wendy. Happy Mother's Day and happy anniversary to you.
Okay, so I'm going to lower down the heat. That's very important. And this is the step that we have to take, okay? So one of the things I want to do right now, first of all, is taste it. Because I haven't put any salt. So think about this. There is no seasoning over here. The stock is neutral. It's beef broth and it's being reduced. The only thing we actually season here is the meat. We just want to leave it alone, okay? Because as it's going to reduce, it's going to become maybe a little more salty, okay? So we can always add, but we can't take away.
We have people saying that you're explaining really well, so.
Oh, wow. That's.
I wonder how they're cooking at home.
That's the first time I hear that.
No.
So here we go. Done. Cover. And then we're going to put it on a 400-degree oven for the first 15 to 20 minutes. You want to make sure the meat just keeps boiling, okay? We don't want to put it in the oven and the temperature drop. It needs to stay at that temperature. After 20 minutes, you bring it down to 375 degrees and you let it go for the duration. Okay? So I'm gonna take it away.
So if anyone is needing the recipe and is just signed on, we're making Osso Buco and risotto, and the recipes are in the link in bio under Mother's Day Sunday Dinner. And, or if you're in Facebook, go on over to Pasha's Cooking /Sunday Dinner. We'll leave the recipe there for a few more days until next Sunday when we do our next meal. But just for those of you that have checked in.
Perfecto. Okay. So we're gonna shut this thing off for a second. The next thing, so we are gonna let the Osso Buco cook. I'm gonna bring you guys up a bit so you can see me. So we're gonna let it cook for, like I say, an hour and a half. The best thing about this dish is also good if you make it the day before for the next day, because the more it sets, better it gets. The things that you guys gotta keep in consideration are two things. First of all, understanding the step that I use. Searing the meat is fundamental. If the meat is not seared properly, okay, what's gonna happen? All the juices will escape from inside. If you sear the meat properly, you trap all the juices inside and it stays nice and moist and it breaks down gently and it doesn't become too tough. Now, there is two schools of thought. Obviously, if you cook it less than normal, it's gonna be chewy. But if you overcook it, it also can become very tough and stringy, okay? So you wanna make sure that it gently breaks the meat apart. So these one are from the chuck short ribs, boneless. I would have liked to find them with the bone in because it would have been easy because you can actually see falling off the bone. And at that point in time, you know you're done, okay? What I do, I take it out, I let them set, so I let them set down a bit, okay? And then I finish with whatever I want, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do, okay, one of my favorite, and I think Anita happened to like it, okay? And is Osso Buco. It's Osso Buco, risotto alla Milanese, okay? One of my favorite things, one of the most simple things to do, can be maybe a little intimidating. I hope I'm not gonna make it too intimidating for you guys. I wanna make it as simple as possible, okay? One of my great mentor that I work with many years ago in Italy, he always recommend the best way to cook risotto Milanese, classical is done, is saffron risotto, but it's cooked with a veal broth. With the bone marrow of the veal, you're actually making a broth, and then it's the classical garnish of the risotto. But the other way, because we're using a saffron that is a very delicate spice, okay, you don't want to overpower the flavor of the broth. So what I've done this time, I used vegetable stock, or otherwise I would actually prefer using water, okay? Because it is very simple. Because I use vegetable stock, I'm not gonna add any wine, because I'm gonna keep the acidity from the onions. Now, why? If you were making an Osso Buco, I would have probably used a white wine. Then it would have been very delicate, a little bit more gentle on the risotto. But because we're using a beef short ribs, I want to make sure that the main part of my acidity comes from the onions or from the shallots. So let's start, and I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. Okay, so I got a hot skillet.
We have lots more people that signed on, and people are asking, yes, it is Osso Buco that we're making and risotto.
Yes, are we making short ribs? Yes. So a little bit of oil, okay? Now, northern part of Italy, so butter is one of the things you see more often in the northern part of Italy. Notice that I'm using a white pot, okay? Because I want to make sure that the risotto's got enough space to cook, okay? We don't want a small pot. The pot needs to be wider. The butter is melting, okay?
Can you see from this one?
Yes. Now we're gonna put the onions.
Oh, it smells so good in here.
And you see I'm moving away from the heat because I do not want to overcook the onions, okay? So you can see it right here. Just slightly toasted, okay? No, we don't want whatsoever the onion to get any color. I'm gonna lower the heat. Okay, you have to be very, very careful. And now, when I have the onions, they are basically translucent. We're gonna add the rice, okay? We're gonna add the rice. And this is the very important step. I would say this is probably the most important step about making a risotto. These first 5 minutes, and I would say the last 5 minutes of the risotto. The tostatura, the toasting of the rice, which is very important, is fundamental. We want to make sure the rice is toasted, and we want to make sure also the rice has no color, okay? We don't want it toasted and the grains are stained and they're dark. We want to make sure the only way we know that the risotto is toasted is by smelling it. We're going to smell basically the starches of the rice and the grain, the nuttiness of the rice, by touching it, by feeling the heat, and also, okay, by seeing the creaminess being evaporated. Here we go. Now, many times you've probably seen recipe, a lot of people would tell you to make a saffron tea. And what it is basically you bring some water up to a boil, you pour the saffron pistol, okay, and then they dissolve automatically. I personally think if you spend a lot of money on saffron, you want to taste the saffron, okay? So what I do, I actually have the saffron over here, and I'm going to toast it with my rice. Why? Because every time I deal with spices of any kind, I want the spices to toast, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to toast the saffron with my rice, and I'm going to check it for consistency. See what I'm doing? I'm agitating. I want to make sure that the rice is perfectly coated everywhere. And I'm taking my time. I'm going to check the grain.
Something you can substitute for saffron?
Well, you can do anything. If you don't want it with saffron, you can make it with asparagus, you can make it with mushroom, you can make anything you want. If you
Is there something that has the same kind of flavoring as saffron?
Flavoring is hard. Color, if you want, you can use a little bit of turmeric in it. That is going to be of the same color as saffron. But saffron is kind of unique, and he's got his own kind of a distinguished flavor. So you really don't want to, if you can avoid it. Okay, so now I want to check. And the rice is nice and hot. I can feel that the grains are hot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some hot vegetable stock. So my first pour is double of the volume of the rice. What does it mean? If I have 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of broth. That's the first pouring you do it. And then you're just gonna let it toast. So you can see it right now, and it's really coming together. I'm gonna let it come to a boil. Now the broth that I'm using is a hot broth, okay?
Rita says she loves saffron. Yes, we do too.
Yeah, well.
It's so delicioso.
Perfect. So now the trick here, it's very, very important. Then the rice is always boiling, okay? We don't want the rice to ever simmer, but we want it to keep, you can see it right now, this gentle boil. I'm gonna take it up for you guys to see it, but it's gonna kind of stop doing it for me, but it's important that the boil is consistently gentle. As soon as it's been boiling for 2 or 3 minutes, that's my first check. And my first check is on seasoning, okay? So what I wanna do, I wanna check out the consistency of the rice, okay? If it's seasoned properly. Because my vegetable stock is made with all the trimming of the vegetable. You see guys, today I use carrots, celery, and onions. I use the skin of the onions, the skin of the carrots, the skin of the celery, And also, I use some of the skin of the Parmigiano Reggiano. Why? Because that is what you're looking for. That is the umami, the new one, or that protein that you're looking for your vegetable stock. Anytime you're making a vegetable stock and you have those pieces of Parmigiano Reggiano, the rind of the Parmigiano Reggiano, keep them, put them in your freezer, and whenever you want to make your vegetable broth, you take them out and you put them into vegetable. What happened? All the crust, all the protein of the Parmigiano just will break down and give you that protein necessary.
It also gives you a little bit of a saltier taste too. So
give
you've
you a
got to
little bit of
watch some of your measurements with the salt, right?
Exactly. So as you see right now here, and this is something that it might be intimidating for a lot of people because you will notice that I'm not going to add any pepper here. Okay? So what I do, I really try to keep it as neutral as possible. The spice that is going to work here is the saffron, and the salt is going to be the seasoning. Then when we finish the mantecatura, which is the final step, okay, we are going to add the Parmigiano, which is going to. So we're going to add a little bit more, but see how quickly the vegetable stock or that liquid absorb the risotto, I'll absorb the rice. That's why it's important. You always keep that thing going all the time. Beautiful. So making not much mess.
That's the part of cooking, isn't it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Normally we're cooking together. This is kind of odd for us, doing these Sunday dinner things.
Mother's Day special.
But I am getting spoiled, that's for sure. Well, I usually do.
No.
Yes.
Okay, so now the part about this one is patience. Patience, 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 patience. And what I say to people, patience, is because we're going to start talking about the misconception of risotto, what risotto actually is. When I came to North America, when I travel, the concept of risotto was this very thick, almost like a rice pudding consistency. Well, risotto tradition in Italy, it's not. It's actually quite soft and wavy, almost the consistency of a very soft porridge. And what we do when we serve a risotto, okay, we never serve a risotto on a flat bowl plate, but we serve it on a flat surface plate, just like that, okay? Because we say the risotto is all'onda, wavy, so it's got a lot of space to actually navigate. All the grains needs to sit on the bottom of the plate properly. And you will see actually when I finish it, how it's gonna work. And also because, that's what the old people used to say, you start eating the risotto from the outside in. The outside gets cooler, the inside gets hotter, and you just make sure you keep eating all of it. There we go. So the risotto is going nicely. And again, keep tasting it all the time. You want to make sure you stir it. But what you're doing by stirring it, you actually working those starches. Okay?
Someone's asking now, do you not scratch the unit there when you do it? But
no.
you lift the pot up when you're actually...
I don't push it down. I'm just holding it up a bit. Yes, no, I'm not moving. I'm not...
when you take it and when you're toasting it...
we'll find out. We'll find out. We might scratch at the end of it. No, you won't.
Usually you have to lift it up a bit ahead of time so that it doesn't actually touch it directly, so that you don't scratch up your stove.
Perfect. So again, you see it's quickly, and you see I'm really, I put quite a bit of liquid here. Quite a bit of liquid, because I really am looking for a consistency that is, the rice needs to completely be drawn into the liquid. We don't want the rice to be uncovered with liquid. It's very, very important. You see right now, it's completely drawn. And the best thing also is you see this little pistil of saffron, okay? Then they kind of go all the way around and they give you that flavor.
Hi, Karina. How are you?
Oh, how are you?
She's down here.
Oh, she's down here. Are they cooking with Mom? Is Karina cooking with mom?
Let's hope she is.
Very good. So you see the saffron, what's happening here? As the saffron has been toasted, has been really developed its own body, okay? So that's what is the difference. See, I can smell right now, I can smell saffron. I can really think, if I were to put it into a tea, I would actually lose a little bit of that flavor, okay, of the saffron. So I'm gonna check the seasoning again, and it's good for me right now, okay? Because I'm tasting saffron, okay? And I'm also tasting just a little bit of the seasoning. But I want to make sure this risotto, the main thing about this risotto is the zafferano. Okay.
So we have some vegetarian people on here as well. So how could you make this vegetarian?
Well, this is vegetarian right now.
Yeah, but there was a buco. I guess they can
Well,
add...
obviously, well, you can actually make, well, something we made last night, for example.
Yeah.
You know, last night, for example, we made a simple vegetable, we call it curry, but instead to put curry, you can put some tomato in it. You can put some black olives, zucchini, carrot, eggplant, and cook them off almost like a stew. And then you serve them with the risotto. Then it's 100% vegetarian, this one. Like I said, use vegetable stock. There is nothing else other than the Osso Buco we're going to add at the end. Or you can actually do some roasted portobello mushroom, okay?
Oh, that sounds yummy.
You can roast them in the oven with some salt, pepper, olive oil, a little bit of goat cheese and some roasted garlic. You bake them in the oven. Then you take them out, okay? And then they're going to be your camouflage Osso Buco. And you put it in the center with a simple risotto. There we go. We made everybody happy.
That's it. We always have to look for substitutes. Substitutes for not finding things in the grocery store, but also dietary substitutes, right?
It's funny because, you know, I found that we are becoming more, we're using less consumption on meat, for example, than in the past. You know, we
That's
don't
kind of the Mediterranean lifestyle anyway.
That's exactly. So we're almost there here.
This is a very classic dish to your hometown, so.
Well, to Milano. Yeah, this is a very classical dish of Milano. Like I said, the difference sometimes you can use a veal broth and the Osso Buco, but that's traditional as it is, okay? You can put some white wine in it, but at the end of it, that's what it's all about. Now look at the consistency. If you think about, I don't know how many of you made risotto before. Oh my God, there is too much liquid in it. And I say, yes, it is. And there is a reason why. And I don't know but this is the thing I was taught many years ago. When a risotto is cooking for 17 to 19 minutes, when it's ready to be cooked, when it's ready to present, you shut the risotto off, you do the mantecatura, which is the Parmigiano and butter, and then we let it rest, okay?
Can you show people what the consistency looks like in this?
Here we go. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of hard to move around here.
Without spilling it, I guess, right?
Yes. But what we want to is important in the risotto is like me making you run for 20 minutes, 47 degrees, and then when you come home, I'm gonna shut you in the freezer or you get sick. But the same thing with food. Food needs to kind of go to a natural stop, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna taste them almost for the last time, but you can see the grain, they are perfect. They're not popping and they're not turning. In Italy, we say, quando riso fa le corna, it's because it hasn't been toasted properly and it's because it's overcooked. Meaning when the rice does the horn, which is not a good thing in Italy, okay? What's happening is the rice has not toasted properly, that grain hasn't developed, and it becomes it's because it's overcooked. But as you can see here, the risotto is perfect. So you can see every single grain. I'm gonna taste it one more time. Oh yeah, this is very good. Now, another trick. North and south of Italy, completely different way to make a risotto. If you are in Milano, on the northern part of Italy, this risotto is done. you want to taste a little crunchiness. If you go on the south, the risotto cooks a little bit longer, probably for 2 or 3 minutes longer. Vice versa for pasta. In the north, the pasta is cooked maybe a little longer, and in the south, the pasta is more al dente. Okay? So here, I would say I'm going to put a little bit more of my liquid. We are almost there. Mama is going to be ready for you guys. Okay? I got one Osso Buco here, and then he's ready. Then I'm going to quickly warm up. Yes.
People are asking, they're signing on, what are we making and where can we find the recipe?
Passioniscooking.com. Why don't you tell them?
Well, in
busy,
Instagram, it's in the profile link. So it's under Sunday dinner, and we're making Osso Buco. We're using short ribs and a risotto. So now we've got the risotto. We've done the Osso Buco. But if anyone needs to download,
passioniscooking.com.
And then / Sunday dinner.
Sunday's dinner. And you can get all the recipe, all the wine pairing, and Anita special juice pairing.
Yeah, that's in the recipe section.
So we got absolutely everything you want. Here we go. So the risotto is almost done. You trump me here.
I trump you? Well, no, the normal recipes are in our recipe section. But this Sunday dinner is actually / Sunday dinner.
Sunday's dinner.
That's where you're going to find it. And in Instagram, it's in the profile link. And Facebook, I think we're putting it into the...
Can you smell that?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I can't wait. I'm drooling over here.
Okay, so now watch this. I'm shutting the heat now. Off. Is it off? Off. Finito.
Finito.
My Osso Buco here. Look at that. I got some Osso Buco here. Then it's just finishing up. Okay? And it has been cooked, been braising for 1.5 hours with all these juices. They've been reduced. And I will show you how we're going to present.
We've already showed how to make the...
We already showed to make the Osso Buco. We're going to braise it. Put it in the oven, 1.5 hours to 2 hours. We check the consistency. And at the end, you're going to have the beautiful little pieces of meat with the juice and all the beautiful vegetable around it. But it's not finished yet. Okay?
Rita, are you coming over for dinner?
Who's coming?
Rita Cugini. She said it looks so good.
Okay, Rita. You can come for dinner. Okay, mantecatura. So I said the risotto is finishing. So what we're going to add, we're going to add some butter. This is the healthiest part. Not quite. Okay? Let me show. Butter. Some beautiful Parmigiano Reggiano. You're not going to be shy with that, right? And now we're going to make the so-called mantecatura. The mantecatura is away from the stove. So I mean, the stove is completely shut off. We don't want no heat, but we want to make sure that we create that beautiful creaminess. Can you see that creaminess getting formed now?
Is mantecatura always with?
Could be with butter, could be with olive oil. But look at this. Look at this beautiful creaminess that is happening on the beautiful risotto. Look at that. Prepare for a queen.
Oh, is that me? Are you calling me a queen?
You are the principessa.
No.
There we go. So here we go. I'm going to taste it because I don't trust myself. Perfect. Now, I could use a pinch more salt. Remember, I'm not adding any peppers here. Okay? A little bit more salt. Maybe a little bit more Parmigiano.
More cheese, please.
More cheese, please. And then we just let it rest.
Staples in our household are usually olive oil
and Parmigiano.
And balsamico.
And balsamico. So I'm going to let this one rest on the side. I'm going to come back with this beautiful, beautiful Osso Buco / short ribs.
Yep.
I kind of get lost here. Okay. So watch this. So the meat is being cooking properly. Okay. We're just going to make sure that it just comes together. So you can see the pieces. The sauce becomes nice and thick. You can see the little pieces of mushroom. You can see the vegetable. I don't know if you guys can see all the mushroom and vegetable over here. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about the last element that is a very important element of this dish. It's called the gremolata. And the gremolata is nothing more than a seasoning. Then it actually amplifies the flavor of this great dish. And gremolata is una battuta of, basically a chop of, you could use some fresh rosemary, fresh sage, 1 clove of garlic, or half a clove of garlic in this case, the germ removed, finely chopped, and then the parsley. Now, the parsley, I did not chop it because I do not believe on chopping parsley. You can just stir it with your hands, okay? So that's important, okay? So we're gonna let it cook. So that is the seasoning. We're gonna put a pinch of salt here, and that's what is gonna change the whole complexity of the dish.
And that's in the recipe as well.
Yes,
in the recipe
it is.
as well, yeah.
So we're gonna become creative. As I promised, we're gonna use flat plate, okay? So the risotto sits perfectly. So if you can see it like that, can you see me? Yes, bravi. So I'm gonna move this one over here. Eccoci qua. See the way the risotto is? It's still, I wanna put maybe just a little bit more liquid because I don't want it too dry, okay? See, oh, now we are talking. You wanna come and try it? You wanna come and try it?
I will in a minute. We gotta do the plating first. Am I being a bossy bones?
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have the beautiful risotto like this.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
You always talk about mantecatura.
Okay. See what I'm doing? I'm flattening it down like that.
Even out.
Even out. Okay? And then, yes, you had a question for me.
Well, but that's when you turn off the oven? So, I mean the stove? So
I'm
that's
gonna
when you do it?
completely off the stove.
Okay.
Okay?
I just never knew that before. I thought it was just mixing it. It didn't matter.
No, we want to make sure we mantecatura, but then we want to make sure that it's off the stove altogether, right? We want to make sure there is no heat on there. We don't want to make sure we cook the butter or we cook the cheese because the risotto, the heat of the risotto is going to do. So here, I'm going to add some of the gremolata inside, okay, which we are going to mix it around, and you can smell it. See? The beautiful flavor of the gremolata, like that. Okay? And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add it just a bit over. I'm going to make sure the risotto is staying with the gremolata. And, okay, if you want, what I like to do is give little pieces of some of the herbs that have been part of this dish. Let them be part of it.
This brings you back to the restaurant days when you get to plating, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of fun. And then if you want, okay, you can just add a little bit more Parmigiano if you want it. And there you have it. Simple. Osso Buco alla Milanese. Here we go. Voila. And voila. Not very hard. So the hardest part about this one is to make sure that we have our rice cooked at the last minute. Once your Osso Buco is done, you're only focusing on a risotto. And that's what you need to put all your energy on. Make sure that the Osso Buco is nice and tender. And as you can see, I want to show you quickly, okay? So if we look at it, okay, we break it down, you can see it, then all the meat is broken down, okay?
This looks so good.
You want to try it?
Of course.
Okay, so look at this. Here we go. Look at that. And I'm using a spoon here. I'm not using a fork.
We can't destroy this plating.
Look at that. Look at that.
We can't destroy this plating. This is way too nice.
But you see what happened here? I want to show you how beautiful and tender. And
oh my gosh, it breaks apart.
and temperature, right?
It breaks apart.
So you want to try it? There we go. So let me just take some of that out.
That is edible too, though, isn't it?
Everything is edible.
Mm.
That made it too big for you?
We made it too big.
Yeah. There we go.
Smaller piece, please. Oh, this tastes so good, though. Oh, God. Oh, so good.
Isn't it good?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is the meat breaks right down. Honestly, God, it's like butter. But if I want to show you, I'm just going to come close to the camera here. Just look at it. You see? And you look like that. It's really breaking. It's falling
that's so
apart.
delicious. And the flavors, they melt so well together.
So, a couple of tips here. If you make short ribs, if you make Osso Buco, don't make 4 portion. If you go out, just make maybe a little bit extra. Whatever leftover you have, you can make with all the sauce here, some of the meat, and you can break it apart. You can make a pasta for the next day if you want it. With the risotto, one of the best thing, one of my favorite thing is when the risotto left over, you put them in the fridge, and then the next day we make risotto al salto, which basically is almost like a frittata. So the rice is almost like a little rosti of rice, like this rice cake, and it's nice golden brown, and it's phenomenal just to have the next day. And you can put some Parmigiano on it, you can put some fontina, you can put anything you want. But this is simple dishes that you can bring to your table on Mother's Day, and you can make your mother, your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever. Very happy.
So this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much, sweetheart. This is something that you always think of in restaurants, and that's going to be hard to make, but it isn't. And just following those few little steps and the recipe that's online, you can make it simply at home.
Yes.
And you can substitute certain things. I mean, that's what Fridge Feast is all about. It's substituting, knowing what you can substitute, but still getting that classic kind of flavor. Again, you've showed, and the recipe has the true ingredients, but there's other alternatives you can do as well.
And I mean, the biggest thing that we have to understand is nowadays we have to be mindful of, you might not find Osso Buco. Short rib is a great option, okay? Now, a short rib might take a little bit longer. We take between 2 to 2.5 hours. And Osso Buco will take an hour, maybe an hour and a half, okay? Because the meat is a little more tender. You're dealing with veal, and it's a much smaller piece of meat, but both of them are quite delicious.
Could you do this on the barbecue as well? Like, I'm thinking, it's cold where we are right now. Yeah. So this is an ideal meal for us. But I'm wondering if you were down south or somewhere where it's warm.
Well, you can't
have the same kind of effect.
No, braising. No, because you want to braise it. Because you want to braise it. When you want to now, could you braise on top of a barbecue grill? Sure, you can. I mean, if you don't have a stove, like if you are out camping, you can do that. That's not a problem. But this one is traditional as a dish and is really perfect. And it's being braised in a day like today. Unfortunately, maybe not in Italy. I was talking to my sister today. It's 29 degrees. Not like in Canada, we had snow yesterday. But why not? Why not having it just like that?
So I think we're running out of time now, so we're going to have to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much for your questions. I'm not too sure if there's any more out there that you were wanting to ask, but just put them in the comment lines. Oh, maybe, okay.
What is it? Let me see it.
SCI Milanese.
Sì, Milanese. Sì. Perfetto, grazie.
So thank you so much for joining us. We're Passion is Cooking. Dario Tomaselli and Anita Heidema cook together to stay together is what we say. And this is Fridge Feast.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. And we're going to sign off for now. So we're going to sign off over here. Hello.
Ciao, guys. Ciao, ciao.